What was once a cornfield now sits a sprawling campus known as Redemption Christian Church. In small-town rural southern Indiana 23 years ago, an upstart church began with a handful of people, and God has grown it to an impactful church of more than 2,000 with campuses in 3 towns. How did this happen? What did God use to not just make a church grow, but create a movement of Christ followers who are brought into the mission of loving God, loving people, and changing the world? This is the Redemption Story, a series of programs in association with Redemption Christian Church and the Kevin R. Smith Company that attempts to tell a bit of the story of what God has done and is doing at and through Redemption Christian Church.
Well, Darrell, we're, the month of August when we record this, heading into Labor Day is just a couple, 3 weeks away in that regard. And, the first half of the calendar year is gone. There have been a lot of seeds planted, a lot of seeds grown, and I'm sure some other seeds coming up. Talk a little bit about, as you reflect back, and maybe, as your team has provided you some input, thoughts on what's taken place the first half of the year.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, this is a great time of year because kids are back in school, and I know they don't love to hear that. But what happens is you start settling into a routine and schedule, and people get more active and some things. And here's the second reason: it's football season. And
I knew that was coming.
Be some football.
That should have been first, though,
yeah,
right?
I know. Well, but anyway, yeah. So we've had some time to reflect as a staff. We had some time to pray together and our all staff here this week and just reflect on some great victories that's happened. We have seen some incredible things in the first half of the year. Really, attendance has grown and is growing. All of our campuses are healthy and strong. We just launched our fall student ministries, and each campus was buzzing and full. Lagodi, I think, had a record number of students on their first Wednesday night. They had like 87, close to 90 students. They've never had that many. So they're buzzing, firing on all cylinders there. Student ministry here, I get to volunteer I'm with the junior guys, and it was packed and energetic and good, and Tell City was off to a great start. So all those things are good. Our kids' ministries are busting at the seams on Sundays as school has started, more coming back to the regular, summer. You have a little summer long, although that was another neat thing. Summer did not drop as much as normal this year. It didn't seem like to me. And so that was kind of neat to see. So we've gotten back into things. We've had a lot of baptisms, a lot of successes, a lot of neat events. And we're heading into this fall where we're getting ready to launch some cool things again with Rooted. We're gonna be doing some of these care groups that we've talked about. We're going to be doing launching another round of community groups like Doug at Jasper campus, Cameron at Lagodi, and Corey at Tell City are working to get people in groups if they've said they want to be in groups, which raising up leaders and do that. I mean, Doug has been working frivolously on that here because you had a bunch of names and you got to find a way to get them in groups. You got to have leaders to get them in groups and all that whole process. So we're excited about the back half. You're going to see we're going to do at least one before the end of the year, a night of worship we're working on. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but it'll just be an evening where we just come to worship and pray. Got the worship team working on that. We've got several, I think, really cool sermon series coming up. We're going to work through the book of Philippians, which is one of my favorite letters that Paul writes. So much good stuff in there. We're going to be working and doing that, and then we're going to work through something called where people who have kind of deconstructed their faith or are doing that. We're going to deconstruct, reconstruct what that looks like, and then we'll have a Christmas series to finish out the year that I think is going to be one of my favorite Christmas series that we've done so far. So a lot that's happened, a lot coming up. We're just really excited about all that.
Just kind of building on that a bit. We've talked a lot about going out on the mission field, from the Sundays and the Mondays through Saturday and Sunday. And, I know you've had a chance personally, as I'm sure your team has, throughout the spring and summer that's getting away from us now in 2024, to get away and have some family vacation. Talk a bit about, from your role as a church leader, a part of the church team, when you travel and when you're with family, you're vacationing, that mission field for you in that regard? What's occurring? Because I'm sure there's some strategic thought happening as you're taking just that time away and in the travel aspect to make new connections.
Yeah, so I do try to unplug. I think it's only fair to the family that, I'm not always doing ministry or going to visit this church when we're gone, although we do some of that. But you are always on. First of all, this One at a Time series has reminded us over and over again, we're always on a mission every day. Like, as much as sending missionaries across the world, we want to send missionaries across the street. It's just that important. And so we definitely when we're traveling, we focus on that. Like, who can we, and you meet people and you hear their stories. And I love to talk to people when I'm on vacation. Some people like to unplug and not talk to anybody. I love to talk to people. I know that's hard for you guys to imagine.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
I love to talk to people and just get to know their stories and hear about them. And so that's kind of what we do. We unplug and we go try to just be away from our normal setting and see what God's doing in other places, because God's working everywhere. We don't leave Him behind when we go. And so that's an important aspect of it, because literally this church has always been on mission, and we always will be. And I've been really working recently through some of the transitions on getting to know some of our missions partners around the world. Probably we'll do a full podcast on that really soon. We're planning on having a missions global awareness mission Sunday coming up in the first part of next year, and then working on some local mission partnerships. We've got some things we're working on that we hope to announce as far as some future partners that we're going to dive headlong into support in some really unchurched areas. So it's just you're always on mission. And so whether you're on vacation or whether you're on a business trip, you've got to be on mission, because that's what we're called to be.
Just jumping back a bit, a few moments ago, you talked about things that are coming and things that have happened a bit. When you and your team have got together recently and you look back on the first half of 2024, anything you reflect on and think, wow, that could have maybe been done a little bit better, or maybe we could have expanded a little further there?
Yeah, all the time. We do that all the time. We actually have debriefing meetings where we say what went right, what was not clear, kind of do the SWOT kind of aspect. And there's always, I can't think of a specific right now, but I know there's been events that we've had. It's like, we probably would do that differently next time. And even just recently, we got together to start talking about fall. Like, we usually have some kind of fall festival at all of our campuses. Okay, what worked well last year from that? What didn't? What can we do differently? And so there's always things. We had an experiential service here a while back where we asked people to get up and do some things. And it's very interesting. Like, a couple of our campuses, it worked really, really well. Some of our campuses, maybe it didn't work as well as we thought it would. Why? Was it just not for them, or did we just not explain it well? And so you're always looking through things like that and saying, what could we do better? Because sometimes things just aren't clear. And so it's like, okay, what was not clear? How can we do that better? So that happens all the time. In fact, once a month, we have a ministry staff meeting. That's everybody who's on the ministerial staff comes to this meeting, and Heather, who kind of oversees a lot of the operations, comes to that meeting, and we say what's going right, what could use some improvement, and what is not clear. And we kind of work through those things, and it's really kind of a go. And then I've been really interested in the thing now called Smart Goals. You're probably familiar with Smart Goals. And we're trying to work through those. It's an acronym, of course, as all those things are. And we just did it for the first time with our missions planning strategy meeting, worked through those SMART goals. And it was really, really neat to see how that works. So, it's always got to be working to see, hey, what's God doing next? What could we have done better? And, live and grow. It's always about growing.
So just out of curiosity, as we wrap here, when you do the SWOTs, the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, typically where do you see which blocks filled in more from your team?
Well, you got to be careful not to think you got it all together, but we certainly get to celebrate a lot of the strengths regularly. I would say that's the heavy part of them, is strengths. And the second heaviest is opportunities, because we see like these opportunities coming around the corner that what can we do to meet those needs? See a need, meet a need, and so that's a big one. And then there's always, weaknesses. Here's some things that we probably aren't as good at that we want to be. We've said that for years with discipleship. That's how Rooted got here, right? And so, so we look at things like, okay, this is kind of a weakness for us. What can we do better? And that's kind of where we're at. And one of the key tools is having people in place. You got to have different pieces in place of people who have different strengths themselves. Like one of the things I've discovered with Doug Stevenson, our campus minister at Jasper campus, he's a finish line guy. If I say, hey, we've been trying to do this for a while, like, okay, he's going to find a way to get it done. That's just kind of his strength. Michaela Lance, who leads our students and children's here as well right now. She's kind of leading the family ministry team. She's so good. Like, she just had a kids ministry training the other night, and I got so much positive feedback. Everything from safety to care to, helping them feel empowered and hearing them. Here's what's going well. Here's what's not. So you just got to have those type people in place, and we do. We have them in place.
Well, having the opportunities with the strengths just simply says you're growing through the strengths in that regard, which is what God brings to us all.
Yep, that's good stuff.
Thank you for watching. Daryl, my friend, God bless you.
Have a good week.
Have a good week.